You open your eyes, you're in Compton. Not visiting, living. This is home. The morning reality. You smell smoke. Always smoke. It triggers something. You're 5 years old again, watching a guy get his chest blown out with a shotgun right outside your apartment. That's your first memory of death. Not from a movie, real life. You get up, your pops is in the next room. He's affiliated, gang affiliated, and he's the only one out of all your homies who had a father there every day saying,
"Yo, don't do that."
30 friends in the neighborhood. You the only one with a pops telling you different. But he doing what he had to do to put food on the table. Sometimes it wasn't always the super legit way, and you knew, even as a kid. You was pretty wise. You knew what he was doing. For a minute, it made you want to be just like him. But you had to make a choice. Figure out what was right and what was wrong. That's your whole story, living in this crazy-ass city. Real quick though, you're gonna want to remember this feeling. Hit subscribe so you don't lose it. The weight on your shoulders. You check your phone, millions of people waiting on what you gotta say. They're calling you the new king of West Coast. Dre, Snoop, Game. They crowned you on stage. It's a lot of responsibility. You're not just K-Dot from the neighborhood no more. That name's been there since you was a kid. Go back to the city now, they still don't call you Kendrick. But the world knows you different. You got 5 Grammys off one song. Not like us. The beef is over. Certified lover boy versus you. People saying you won. The streets saying you won. The Grammys saying you won. But you're thinking about Chad Keaton, your little brother. He was on the right path. Got shot anyway. Sometimes the good are in the wrong places. It's exactly what happened. You lost more friends this past summer than any other summer. You on tour, living this life, but you still got to get back off that tour bus and go to these funerals. Talk to their moms, talk to their aunties, the kids that lost their lives. The responsibility you can't run from. You remember being 8 years old. They were shooting California Love video in your neighborhood. Your father grabbed you, put you on his shoulders. There was Dre and Tupac right there in a white Bentley. That moment, whether you knew it or not, subconsciously, it branched you off to what you doing right now. You said that day, I want to have an influence like that on these little kids. 15 years later, you met Dre, told him that story. He remembered that exact same moment. Remember them kids that was out there. You said, Dre, I was one of them kids. Now, you the one these kids looking up to. You hated the word role model, but you can't run from it. When you went out to these shows and seen these kids saying, we live by your music, that's something you gotta respect. The studio sessions. You head to the studio, Top Dog Entertainment. They grabbed you and J-Rock off the streets when you was 16, put you both in the booth, made you study your craft. You remember Top sitting there like, go in the booth, let me see if this really is you rapping. You freestyled for 2 hours before you said, okay, this really you. That was the beginning of your test. You've been with him since. Black Hippie, Schoolboy Q, Absol, J-Rock, Carefree. That's the meaning behind that title. Y'all got y'all own style, own sound. Not confined with what the industry want or what radio want. You started writing at 13. First raps was about killing people. You probably killed about 30 people in like 2 bars. Sold amounts of dope. That's all you seen. That's all you knew. The city related to that. But you evolved. K-Dot was a student of the game. Studying Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, DMX, Wayne. Years of preparation. Training day. Kendrick Lamar OD. Constant practice. By the time Kendrick Lamar came, you had more story, more details, more concept, not just a person out here rapping like everybody else. The albums that changed everything. Section 80. That was you introducing yourself. Your generation. 1980 to 2011, teenagers and young adults going through trials of becoming responsible. You wanted them to know you're not talking to them, you're talking with them. Good Kid, Mad City, that was your whole life in one album. One day living in the city. A story about teens trying to figure their way out, trying to escape your influences. All your achievements, all your failures, everything in that album. People thought it was about you, but nah, it's a reflection of the people you grew up around. the ones they called delinquents. You embraced alcoholism, gang violence, brutality, simply because it's topics you're most familiar with. Half the story of kids in Compton is good kids in a mad city. You feel that we all good kids in the mad city. It stems from being a kid and the shit you exposed to. To pimp a butterfly, that was the thought of changing the world. You went to Africa, saw the people's problems. They struggling 10 times harder. That inspired you. Wrote a lot of records just from visiting South Africa. It catapulted not just the album, but your experience as a human, knowing there was a bigger world than the reality you lived in. Your whole youth, teenage years, early adulthood, you felt like these four corners, these 4 blocks of Compton, that's it. Nothing outside that. Damn, that was the hybrid. The message behind Pimp a Butterfly. The sonics and beats slapping on Good Kid, the rawness of Section 80. When you take all 3, it makes damn. Damn if I do, damn if I don't. The loudness of the record screamed that. DNA, humble, it just felt like that. The inner battles. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. This was your most intimate. Going inside your own psyche, your personal withdrawals, seeing how it connects with the public. Real niggas don't go to therapy. That's how real niggas feel. You grew up where your parents don't know about that. Your grandparents don't know about that. You live and experience the shit you go through and deal with it right then and there, or you never deal with it. But you learning. If we stronger on the core, ain't nobody else gonna do it. People asking, is this real? Is there a poetic license? Where did the depression come from? It's drastic when you round so many different faces you don't understand. Things going on back home that's out of your control. How can you have love for your partner next to you if you don't know who you are? How can you have love for your city if you don't know who you are? The aggression returns. GNX. You wanted to go back to the forefront. Just the bite and the grit of rap. Hard raps. Good beats. That's the basics. You thought about what you used to like when you was a kid. You always had that DNA. You heard a little bit on Good Kid, but you wanted to tell your story first. Fast forward, you felt it was the perfect time. Not only was the energy there, but the energy was burbling up inside you. Great transition from Mr. Morale because that was your most intimate. This time around, coming out of that cocoon, arrive now, spreading your wings. You from the West Coast. Aggression in the music, you can't run from that. You influenced by Q, by Dre. You grew off gangsta rap. That aggression always be in you. The Super Bowl moment. You performing at the Super Bowl 59. When you be pulling up, you wasn't thinking about no Super Bowl, not at all. But now, you're the first solo hip-hop artist to headline. That shit mean everything. It puts the culture on the forefront where it needs to be. Not minimized just to catch a verse or a song. This is true art. You representing it on that stage. You don't take it for granted. Who you really are. You look in the mirror. Kendrick Lamar is Compton. Kendrick Lamar is the country building that you and your moms had to walk to every month. Kendrick Lamar is an everyday person telling stories about lives that reflect not only you, but the people listening. Kendrick Lamar is a human being. No gimmicks, no nothing. You displayed emotions of feeling, hurt, pain, depression, happiness, and just, yeah, that's the word for it, a human being. That's Kendrick. You felt that? Then you know what to do. Drop a like, hit subscribe. We got more stories like this. I'll see you later.